You see, that's the secret to joy. The secret to joy is understanding that no matter what we are going through, God is causing all things to work together for the good of those who love Him and are called according to His purpose. Sovereignty of God is the secret to consistent joy. Yeah, I said it, and I believe it. Understanding the sovereignty of God. I've heard somebody, if you believe in the sovereignty of God, you're a fatalist. No, I'm not a fatalist, but I trust that everything that happens, God is causing to work together for the good of those who love Him. That He who began the good work is going to complete the good work. You see, and that gives me joy even in trial. That gives me joy even in heartache. That gives me joy even when somebody I love has been lost. And I might not be doing jumping jacks, or I might not have the same countenance on my face as I would if I received something of great value or something nice like we talked about earlier. What's the difference between happiness and joy? But that joy is there, the joy of the Lord. The peace that passes all understanding. Let me tell you what I'm talking about, because I know that you guys know that I've done a lot of funerals in my very short time as a minister. One of the things I can tell you is there is much difference in doing a funeral for somebody who you know is saved and doing a funeral for somebody you know did not make a confession of faith. We won't say we don't know that they're saved. We'll say we had no evidence of their confession of faith. Because when we come to the casket of a person who we believe knew Jesus, who had all the evidence of knowing Jesus, there's a peace that passes understanding. There's a peace and a joy in knowing where that person is. But you know what? When an unbeliever comes to that casket and they look in and they see their mom, their dad, their aunt, their uncle, their sister, that unbeliever has no hope. That unbeliever has no joy. They have nothing to rest upon. And I've seen it happen. I've seen the unbeliever collapse at the casket. No hope. No hope. You see, understanding the sovereignty of God, understanding what Paul is teaching here, helps us to be able to maintain joy. Paul knew he was in prison for a reason. How do you know that? Are you making that up? No, he wrote it down. We're going to get through a few verses here, but I want to show you what he writes. I want to show you Paul so understood the sovereignty of God that even where he was, though it was damp and dirty and ugly and tiring, it was where God wanted him. Let's look. In verse 7, he says, "It is right for me to feel this way about you because I hold you in my heart. For you are all partakers with me of grace, both of my imprisonment and the defense of the confirmation of the gospel. For God is my witness how I yearn for you in all the affliction of Christ Jesus, and in my prayer that your love may abound more and more with knowledge and all discernment, so that you may approve what is excellent, and so be pure and blameless for the day of Christ, filled with the fruit of righteousness that comes through Jesus Christ, to the glory and the praise of God." Now here comes the part that I was just talking about. He says, "I want you to know, brothers, that what has happened to me has really served to advance the gospel." Now, what has happened to him? He's been thrown in jail. What was he doing before? He was going about sharing the gospel. Now he's locked up. Did he say, this kept me from... you think about... I imagine Paul watching some of these evangelists on television today. I don't have a $30 billion jet, so I can't preach the gospel. Paul was stuck in jail. And he says, I'm in jail, and this has helped me preach the gospel. So that it has become known throughout the whole imperial guard and to all the rest of my imprisonment is for Christ. And most of the brothers, having become confident in the Lord by my imprisonment, are much more bold to speak the word without fear. He says, now first of all, I'm in jail. All the guards have heard the gospel. So the gospel has gone to men that would have never listened to my voice any other time. But now, I got a captive audience. Well, they got a captive, but I've got a captive audience. They're going nowhere. They've got to watch me. They got to listen to me. And the brothers who know that I'm imprisoned have become strengthened by my faith in what has happened to me, to the fact that their boldness has increased. So even though I'm suffering, my suffering has given someone else strength to preach the gospel. I'm one man. I can only preach to one group at a time. But now more people have seen my suffering, and based upon what I'm going through, their boldness has increased and the gospel has gone out. Paul saw the sovereignty of God in what was going on. I'm here for a purpose. It's tough. I'm tired. I'm hungry. But God's in control.